guys remember All-Thready here. This is the crowd-funded machine with all the names of the contributors. I can't turn it all the way right now, but I will in a moment. And proudly display all the names of the community members who've made this build possible. Having a hard time with finding a cooling solution for All-Thready here. I have the original Enermax all-in-one 360 millimeter, not degree, radiator, which is crap. And Enermax is offered an RMA for a free upgrade to anybody who bought one of these. This is RGB, which is better for this system. I'm not a fan of RGB, but this system is not a system I have to support. It's only going to me, and so I will do things and use parts I wouldn't ordinarily use for a customer, and I'll be the guinea pig for it. And so I've got so I had the Enermax cooler, that was crap. I went to an Arctic freezer, that's crap. Someone sent me a Noctua tower cooler, which from what I've read online is crap. And I'm gonna now do the latest Enermax LiqTech TR4 replacement and see how that cools. So this is the original Enermax cooler, which I guess is gonna hit a dumpster. That's what I think is gonna happen to it. We'll see if it'll cool my stove down. Let's see what we have in the new box here. Inside, we've got documentation, 3 fans, 3 120 fans. 3 times 120 is 360. So this is a 360 millimeter radiator. Take that off of there. That's one big piece of plastic. Oh, it's 2 pieces of plastic. That makes more sense. Silica gel, save that for a snack. And then all of our mounting hardware. And then everything else is empty. That's all of it. That is the whole deal. But for now, we'll put the box right there. We've got a little tube of thermal compound. Right in that bag right there. Fan splitter, power adapter, I guess if you don't want to plug into the motherboard header, you can run off, looks like an option to run off power supply. Appears to be some kind of RGB controller. This is like a little remote with arrows on it, which I'm guessing cycle between the colors and brightness, I've got to guess. And that cable obviously has a unique plug that matches, so that must go together since they were in the package together. And then finally there's this little 4-pin connector, which I think goes on here, perhaps like this. So this, I'm guessing, is an adapter we won't need. This is our fan splitters. That's to connect all 3 fans into this, and then plug this into your motherboard and let your motherboard control. Good, good. And then this is all the mounting hardware. I guess it'll support up to 6 fans, 3 on each side, push and pull configuration. These are the same fans I have on the other one, so why don't I just use those? Because these fans, I think these are not RGB. I think they're the exact same fans. They're 4-pin fans, so why take them out of the package? I think they're exactly the same. I'm gonna go ahead and just reuse these fans, I think. That way I can put the radiator back in that box rather than leave it out. So let's go ahead and pull the fans off of here. And they need to go on exactly the same way anyway, so why not? I can use the same screws. Make sure the fans go in the same direction, in the same place, with the same orientation. Take a lot of the confusion out of it. Wow, it's like glue. Okay. This is gonna go on the same way, same direction. So you'll notice I'm not tightening those fans down too tight. They don't have to be, number one. This isn't being shipped anywhere. And number two, I don't want to tighten them by hand to make sure that they're all where I want them to be. The minute I start to see that rubber start to indent from the screw, that's where I stop, which is very far before the screw actually tightens. The screw is still quite loose as far as there's still threads waiting to, I can continue to go tighter and tighter and tighter until that rubber actually caves in on itself. We don't want to do that. I also have a piece of plastic up here that has to come off. It looks like they upgraded the pump only. This is the same radiator and the same fans, even the same pipes and the same covers. I think only this piece, only the water block was changed. And that's typical in manufacturing. It costs a lot of money to retool a factory. So, well, it's possible those fans are better. I doubt it. Generally speaking, the fans that come with all-in-one coolers are junk anyway. If you want good fans, you got to buy good fans separately. I've never seen an all-in-one cooler come with good fans. Never. At any price. All right, so the frame comes out. Ooh, gotta love that NZXT case. I love that design. Set this here. Let me get my drink out of the way before I spill it. You don't want to get your all-in-one cooler wet. You want to be real careful when you put these screws in. A radiator is made of, typically it's made of like brass, or it's a very thin aluminum, and it'd be very easy to strip the screws out. So I'm just going to start the screws with my electric driver, being very careful not to cross-thread them. I would suggest, unless you're very comfortable and know your screwdriver, a cordless screwdriver very well, you should probably turn these by hand. But I'm going to at least get these started electronically, so because there's so many of them, it's a time saver on a live video, and it's a wrist saver for carpal tunnel syndrome. But we got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 screws to put in. And now that I've got them all started, I can shift the radiator left and right as I need to align it to where I think it needs to be. But I want to take this other cooler off first. So to do that, this is the Arctic freezer cooler. We're going to remove the cable off the fan header, and we're going to have to take the graphics card out. Let's see. This is the Team Force memory that I'm using here. Once again, there's parts in this build I would not sell to a customer, but because this is my build, well, it's actually the community's build. I'm using parts like a Radeon graphics card I would never use. I've never used this case before, and I'm so happy I did. I'm so happy with it. Motherboard's fine. It's Gigabyte. That's standard. But that's why you'll see there are some exceptions to my rules, because I don't have to support it to anybody but myself. The only one who's going to have any consequences for their decisions is me. So that's completely different than when a customer calls you in a panic and thinks you don't know what the hell you're doing because you sold them junk. So that's the graphics card, the biggest, heaviest graphics card I've ever installed in my life. And it doesn't even perform as good as a 1080 Ti. It costs just as much. Why? Why did I do it? Because I wanted to see. What was it like? Was I being blind and just following ritual? Or am I really choosing the best parts for my customers? I'll try it on my own rig and see. And verified then I've been on the right track the whole time. But look at that messy mess. So that's the Arctic freezer cooler, which is very thin, very thin. I like that it's painted black though. You can clearly see where contact was made with the thermal compound. You see the whole outer edge wasn't even touched on that thermal compound. Isn't that interesting? So all that thermal compound was wasted. It wasn't being used. Only the center of the CPU. So you don't have full IHS coverage on this. What I do is I use a paper towel to remove the bulk of it, and then I'll use some Q-tips and rubbing alcohol to get the remainder. I've got some denatured alcohol here. The higher the alcohol content, the better. We want to use, you can get rubbing alcohol. It'll work just fine. It's going to evaporate off. We just want to make sure we get all the edges and get as much of that thermal material off of there, and then we're going to put some fresh, clean thermal material on there. Okay. Here we go. Oh my God, am I out already? I thought there was more in this tube. Rats. Let's see if I have enough. I think it's going to be okay. I think I just have enough. I do. Look at that. Just enough. I guess I got to go on Amazon and order another tube. Good value for a good thermal compound right there. Amazon. And it's a big, you see how much bigger this tube is? There's plenty of applications of thermal material in there for many CPUs. Not many Threadrippers, but your standard Ryzens and Core i7s, you could probably do a dozen with that. And keep my hands clean. Take the glove off inside out. And then I don't have to worry about getting that stuff all over me. And now I can rest the radiator down properly, or the frame that the radiator is installed into. Should lock in position. It just did. Very good. We can put the thumb screws back in. Okay, that is done. And now the water pump can be installed. Don't tighten them too much. Not yet. Get them all started first. Okay, that's on. Now I want to grab my manual driver and I want to check that. You should never ever be using an electric driver to mount anything radiator-wise or water block or heat sinks. I have torn the entire top off of two separate Corsair H100 type coolers. And Corsair was kind enough to warranty that for me, even though they didn't have to. So the only reason I was able to use my electric driver is I've got the torque setting so low. I feel like that's got to be good enough. It has to be good enough. Let me put the cover back on. Good. And then of course this is the front with everybody's name proudly displayed up here. We're going to put that right up front here. Perfect. Perfect. And now we are ready to test. Okay, you can see me in the corner. Turn this on, pump's lighting up, nice and colorful. Fans are loud, but give it a minute. Better. Better. Just in case you guys want to see what that looks like full screen while that's loading. Cut the lights. Cut the lights! Go back over to our other feed and let's run there's Prime 95. Whew, look at all those cores. Let's go to the hardware monitor. We'll keep a look at, keep an eye on that. We're running 100%. Remember, we would never really run this computer with that high, using all the cores pushed to 100%. This is a real extreme test. And it says it's about 10 after 5. We'll let this run for 15 minutes. What are my temps looking like right now? Let's see. Hitting 70 degrees maximum, almost 71, which is, like to keep it under 80. That's my main thing. Still haven't broken 71 degrees Celsius. I think that's the best I have seen from a cooler yet. Me personally, not watching YouTube videos or reading articles, but actually doing it, that I believe is the lowest temperature I have ever seen. That's a good sign, meaning the cooler's working. And just let it run about 2 more minutes here. It seems pretty locked in at 70.8. I'm going to go ahead and stop the test. I think we've accomplished what I set out to accomplish here. And let's hear what these fans sound like. Once I stop the Prime 95, you'll see the temperatures will drop, not as rapidly because it's a liquid cooler. Test, stop all the workers. And now we should hear these fans drop significantly. Wow, that's a lot quieter, much, much quieter. This might be usable now. When you combine putting the covers back on it, which I won't do, obviously, until I do the cable management, and I obviously don't do the cable management until I have an effective cooling solution, right? So now that I think I have an effective cooling solution, maybe now I can finish cable management and put the covers back on it. Because that seems much, much more reasonable noise-wise to me here in person. I'm not quite sure how much of it the microphone picks up. It's much, much better. Much, much better. And our temp should have significantly decreased. Yeah, 35.1 now, which is the current temp. Wonderful. Well, just jumped to 40. Oh, now 37. So it's liquid, it takes a while to cool down. An air tower cooler will cool down much, much faster and more consistently. That's kind of the downside of a liquid cooler. There it is. Much, much quieter. That's the best it's been since I built it, honestly. And that's what's preventing me from using it, is all that noise. Thank you guys for joining me today. I will see you all again very, very soon. Until then, bye for now.